Hello everyone and welcome to vEgyan Ghar's YouTube channel. Today we shall discuss the TIFR GS 2019 Question Paper. TIFR GS is a nationwide entrance exam conducted by Tata Institute of Fundamental Research for admissions in postgraduate courses offered by it. The paper has 4 sections with 15 questions each. The first section is general science, followed by physics, chemistry and biology. In this video, we shall discuss the general science and physics sections of the paper. Here is the first section, general science. Ontario, a province in Canada, is nearly 6 times larger than the state of Karnataka. Yet it houses fewer species of plants and animals than its Indian counterpart. This is most likely because A. Karnataka has a higher human population, B. Karnataka is closer to the equator, C. Ontario is the west of Karnataka, D. Ontario gets more precipitation per year. The correct answer is option B. This is because as we move towards the pole from the equator, the diversity of species decreases. The tropical climate is highly conducive for biodiversity. So even if Canada's Ontario province is larger in size, it has less plant and animal species. You have been asked to measure the wingspans of a set of birds of the same species. As your sample size, that is the number of wingspans you measure, increases, what will a graph of standard deviation versus sample size look like? A increasing, B decreasing, C constant or flat, or D fluctuating, that is sometimes increasing, sometimes decreasing. Here the correct answer is option D, fluctuating, that is sometimes increasing and sometimes decreasing. Now why does this happen? As the sample size increases, the standard deviation decreases. This is because more values closer to the mean are found. So the graph is a bell-shaped curve with values that first gradually increase and then decrease. Here is the next question. When you are writing a paper, which of the following actions does not require you to cite the source? A. Reusing a standard abbreviation from a published paper. B. Reusing a sentence from a published paper. C. Reusing a paragraph from the methods section of a published paper. Or D. Reusing a paragraph from Wikipedia. Here, the correct answer is option A. It is customary for one to cite the source if they are directly quoting from the source. One must also cite the source if one has paraphrased a certain knowledge from the source. Abbreviations or acronyms, on the other hand, can be explained in full form at the beginning and be used later on without any citation. So the option A is correct. When viewed in sunlight, a flower has red petals and green stalk. You pluck the flower and take it to a room illuminated with a red lamp. What colors does the flower now appear to be? A. Black petals and green stalk. B. Black petals and black stalk. C. Red petals and black stalk. Or D. Red petals and green stalk. Here the correct answer is option C. Red petals and black stalk. This is because when white light is incident on a red object, all other colors of the spectrum are absorbed while the red color is reflected back. Now, if the incident light is itself red in color, all the red light is reflected. Thus the petals will appear red. But when red light is incident on objects of any other color, all the light is absorbed and the object appears black. So the stalk will appear black. India faced heavy floods this year in Uttarakhand and Kerala. This is most likely due to A. Pollution, B. Land use change, C. El Nino, or D. Seismic activity. Here the correct answer is option B, that is land use change. Changes in land cover influence the occurrence and frequency of floods by changing the responsiveness of the river flow to rainfall. Now we'll see why El Nino and seismic activity are wrong. El Nino effect is the abnormal warming up of the Pacific Ocean near the equator of the coast of South America. It is known to cause drought conditions in India. So the option C is wrong. Seismic or earthquake activity may lead to floods as a secondary impact. That is, it could break dams or levy rivers into changing its course. So option D is wrong, and the correct option is B. The speed of the Earth orbiting the Sun is A. The same at all the points along its orbit. B. Fastest at a single point on its orbit. C. Fastest at two fixed points on its orbit. Or D. Slowest at two fixed points on its orbit. To understand this question, we have a simple diagram of a planet's elliptical orbit around the Sun. As we can see, here is the Sun and here is the planet. From Kepler's second law of planetary motion, we know that a planet sweeps out equal areas in equal intervals of time, meaning that it has a constant areal velocity. Therefore, the linear speed of a planet is maximum when its distance from the Sun is the least. This single point in the orbit of the planet when the Sun is closest is called the perihelion. So you can see here. Here the speed of the planet will be the fastest and it is a single most point. So option D is correct. Here is the next question. We say a shape has more symmetries if there are more ways it can be rotated, flipped or moved to get back the same shape. Below are the images of 4 different macromolecules labeled from A to D. Order them from low to high symmetry. Now, any object or shape is said to have rotational symmetry if it looks exactly the same at least once during a complete rotation through 360 degrees. The object may rotate around the center of symmetry, plane of symmetry, or the axis of symmetry. These are together called as elements of symmetry. Spherical molecules, therefore, may have all 23 elements of symmetry. Now, in this, the most symmetrical molecule is option A and the least is option D. So, from order of low to high symmetry is D, B, C and A. So, the option C is correct. Identify the 3 measures of central tendency in the following distributions. A, A1 and B1 are mode, A2 and B2 are median, and A3 and B3 are mean. B, A1 and B3 are mode, A2 and B2 are median, while A3 and B1 are mean. C, A3 and B1 are mode, A2 and B2 are median, and A1 and B3 are mean. And D, A1 and B1 are median, A2 and B2 are mode, and A3 and B3 are mean. Now, mean refers to the average of all values in the data set. When the data values are arranged from low to high, median refers to the middle values, while mode is the value that appears most in the data set. Therefore, in these distribution curves, the mode will be plotted at the highest point, signifying the values that appear the most number of times. The mean is the average of all values in the data set. So it is naturally the lowest point in both these graphs. The median or median values are seen at intermediate locations between the median and the mode. So the correct answer is option A. Observe the curves numbered 1, 2, 3 and 4 in this plot. For each of these curves, at several evenly spaced values of x, you measure the slope of dy by dx. For which curve will you observe the largest variance in measured values of dy by dx? For the graph 1, 3 and 4, the slope is constant. So for graph 1, 3 and 4, the slope is constant. And the slope is given by dy by dx. For the curve 2, the slope is derived at every point on the curve by dy by dx. That is, by drawing a tangent at every point on the curve. And this value of dy by dx will constantly keep changing. Whereas on the other three graphs, that is 1, 3 and 4, at any point the value of dy by dx will remain the same. So the correct option is option B. Consider the following statements. Some fairies are pixies, all pixies are magicians, and no magicians are trolls. Based on the above statements, which of the following is correct? Some trolls are pixies, some fairies are magicians, all magicians are pixies, or D, all pixies are fairies. From the data in question, we can draw this kind of a Venn diagram. Some pixies are fairies, so the populations mix at a point but not completely. The populations mix at a point but not completely. All pixies are magicians, therefore the pixies have to be a part of a larger population of magicians. So pixies are a part of the larger population of magicians. No magicians are trolls, so the set containing trolls does not intersect with the set of magicians at all. So here is the set of trolls. From the given data, we cannot infer if some troll population intersects with another set. So option A is incorrect. From the figure, all magicians may not be pixies, and all pixies are not fairies. So all magicians cannot be pixies. So these are the magicians that are not pixies. And all pixies are not fairies. All pixies are not fairies. So this is the population of pixies that are not fairies. So option B is correct. Some fairies are magicians. That is the part that is intersecting with pixies but are also a part of magicians. The following line graph gives the ratio of the amount of entry to the amount of exit of a specific molecule from a cell over the period of time from 1 to 7 hours. If the entry at 4 hours was 250 units and the total exit at 4 and 5 hours together was 500 units, then find the entry at 5 hours. Option A 250 units, option B 300 units, option C 357 units, or option D 420 units. So from this we can see that the entry is to exit ratio at 4 hours was 1.25, which is somewhere here at 4 hours. 1.25. The entry is to exit ratio at 5 hours was 1.4. Let the exit at 4 hours be x. So the exit at 5 hours will be 500 minus x, because we've been given that the total exit at 4 and 5 hours together was 500 units. 1.25 is therefore equal to 250x, where x is equal to 250 by 1.25, which is 200. Thus, exit amount at 5 hours is 500 minus 200, which is equal to 300 units. Now, if we assume the entry amount at 5 hours to be y units, then 1.4 is equal to y into 300. So y is 1.4 into 300. So y is equal to 420 units. So our answer is 420 units. So option D is correct. Which of the following is the largest? A. 100 raised to 1 by 100. B. 100 raised to 1 by 101. C. 10 raised to 1 by 51. Or D. 10 raised to 1 by 52. Now, to compare these four values, we will convert them into powers of 10 for ease. So when you do that, 100 raised to 1 by 100 becomes 10 raised to 2 by 100. Similarly, 100 raised to 1 by 101 becomes 10 raised to 2 by 101, and these two remain the same. On calculating the values, we find out the first option, that is 100 raised to 1 by 100, shows the highest power. So it is the largest value. The correct answer is option A. Scientists marked and released 100 lizards on 4 islands. Each island is home to predators. After a month, they trapped and counted all surviving marked lizards. Then they repeated the experiment, but after removing all the predators from the island. The results are summarized below. Which of the following inferences can you make from this plot? A. Predators have no impact on lizard survival. B. Predators have a bigger impact on female survival than male survival. C. Some islands did not have any predators to begin with. Or D. Female survival is twice that of males, but only in the presence of predators. Now, from the graph, we can see that option A is wrong, as we can see that the population without predators have higher survival. So population without predators have higher survival, whether they are males or females. The question states that each island is home to predators. So by default, option C is incorrect because it says that some islands did not have any predators to begin with, which is wrong. From the graph, the decrease in the survival of females is more significant than that of males. So the number of female lizards is decreasing more than the number of males. So option D is also wrong. It says that the female survival is twice as that of males, but it is not true. So option B is correct. That is, predators have bigger impact on female survival than male survival. Now we move on to the physics section. You are running up a spiral staircase. The associated angular momentum points in which direction? A. Upwards, B. Downwards, C. The net displacement is linear, so there is no angular momentum, or D. The answer cannot be determined from the information given. The correct answer is option D. This is because the angular momentum L is given by the formula mvr. So L is equal to mvr. Here m stands for mass of the object, v stands for velocity, and r stands for the radius of the circle in which the object moves. The direction of the angular momentum is given by the right-handed thumb rule. The direction of the thumb determines the direction of the angular momentum, but the direction of the curled fingers determines the direction in which the object moves in the circle, that is, clockwise or anti-clockwise. In this case, we do not know the direction of motion around the spiral staircase, that is, whether it is clockwise or anti-clockwise. So option D is correct. Which of the following best explains why the refractive index of water changes with temperature? A. Due to change in density. B. Due to change in surface tension. C. Due to change in viscosity. Or D. Due to evaporation. Now we know that at higher temperature, liquids become less dense. So the light can travel faster through them and the refractive index value decreases. The Ri value is given as C by V, where C is the speed of light in vacuum divided by the speed of light in medium. So option A is correct. A particle is constrained to move in a circle with 10-meter radius. At particle speed 10 meter per second and its speed is increasing with one instant, the rate of 10 meter per second square, what is the angle between the particle velocity and acceleration vectors? A. 0 degrees, B. 30 degrees, C. 45 degrees, or D. 90 degrees. Please refer the figure. Here we denote AT as tangential acceleration and AC as centripetal acceleration. The net acceleration is A net. So here the tangential acceleration given is 10 meter per second square. So this is the tangential acceleration. Therefore, the centripetal acceleration is given by AC, and we know that the formula for that is v square by r. So velocity square by r. The velocity is given as 10 meter per second. So it's square by the radius r, which is 10 square by 10, that is 10 meter per second square. Now we know that centripetal acceleration is perpendicular to tangential acceleration. So the angle between them is 90 degrees. So tan theta, if we connect these two lines here, tan theta is equal to AC by AT. So AC by AT, which is equal to 10 by 10 is equal to 1. So tan theta is equal to 1. So theta should be 45 degrees. So the correct answer is option C. A charged particle is released from rest in a region where there is constant electric field and a constant magnetic field. If the two fields are parallel to each other, the path of the circle is a circle, straight line, helix, or parabola. Now, we know that in motion of a charge in a magnetic field, the force or F is given by Q into V cross B, that is QVB sine theta. Here in the question given above, the two fields, that is electric field and magnetic field, are parallel to each other. So theta is equal to 0 degrees. So the value of force and acceleration will be 0. So the particle moves undeviated and unaccelerated. So the path of the particle is a simple straight line. So the correct option is B. A ray of light is incident on a mirror and the light travels in the direction x plus root 3y, and after reflection travels in the direction x. What is the angle of incidence with respect to the normal to the mirror? A 30 degrees, B 60 degrees, C 90 degrees, or D 120 degrees. Plane mirror reflection in this question mentions that the incident ray has the equation of line x plus root 3y. So this is our incident ray. On reflection, the light moves in the direction x, that is the normal. So this is how a ray diagram would look. The normal is just an imaginary line perpendicular to the mirror surface. So in this case, it is in the direction x. Now if we find the tangent for angle I, we get root 3, because this is 1x plus root 3y, and if we compare this is our 1 unit x and root 3 units y, and since these two lines are parallel here, this imaginary line and this x-axis, it gets 1, and then tan I will be equal to root 3. So if tan I is root 3, I is equal to 60 degrees. So the correct answer is option B. The voltage measured across a metal bar is plotted as a function of applied current at two different temperatures T1 and T2. Which of the following statements is correct? T1 is greater than T2, T2 is less than T1, T1 is equal to T2, or T1 could be less than or greater than T2 depending on which metal it is. Now, we know that according to Ohm's law, the slope of voltage versus current graph is resistance, that is R. So tan theta is equal to V by I, which is equal to R, and R, that is resistance, is directly proportional to temperature. Thus, increase in temperature increases resistance. So, greater the slope, greater is the temperature. So, the correct answer is option A. T1 is greater than T2 since its slope is greater than that of T2. Two identical biconvex lenses L1 and L2 are arranged 10 cm apart. A collimated parallel beam of light strikes L1 from the left and converges 4.3 cm from the left lens. The emergent rays on the right of L2 will be A. Parallel, B. Convergent, C. Divergent or depolarized. Now, since the beam of light which strikes L1 from the left converges 4.3 cm from the left lens, the focal length of L1 is 4.3. So, the focal length of L2 will be 10 minus 4.3 since it is given on the scale, that is 5.7 centimeters. And it is a convex lens which is converging, so the rays emerging will also be convergent. So the correct answer is option B. Standing waves are excited in a 1 meter long pipe open at one end, closed at the other. Take the speed of the wave as 340 meter per second and calculate the frequency of the first overtone, that is, the first harmonic above the fundamental frequency. A. 128 Hz, B. 170 Hz, C. 255 Hz or D. 510 Hz. Now, a long pipe open at one end, closed at the other, is called as a closed organ pipe. For such a pipe, the length is equal to lambda by 4 of the wave. So, the fundamental frequency is given by V by 4L. So, for the first overtone, the length is equal to 3/4 of the lambda. So, the frequency for this overtone is equal to 3V by 4L is equal to 3 into 340, which is the speed of sound, divided by 4 into the length, that is 1, is equal to 255 Hz. So the correct answer is C. In a certain process, 1.5 to 10 raised to 5 joules of heat is added to an ideal gas to keep the pressure at 2 into 10 raised to 5 pascals, while the volume expands from 6.3 meter cube to 7.1 meter cube. What is the change in the internal energy for the gas? A. It decreases by 2 into 10 raised to 5 joules. B. It increases by 1 into 10 raised to 5 joules. C. It increases by 1 into 10 raised to 3 joules. Or D. It decreases by 1 into 10 raised to 4 joules. In this process, the pressure is maintained at a constant. So, it is an isobaric process. For an isobaric process, Q or heat is equal to the change in internal energy or U plus W. So, delta U is given by Q minus W, where W is P delta V, that is pressure, which is constant, into the change in volume. On substituting the values given in the question, we get delta U is equal to minus 0.1 into 10 raised to 5, which can be written as minus 1 into 10 raised to 4 joules. The minus sign indicates that there is a decrease in the internal energy. So the correct answer is option D. Note the spring and mass arrangement below. With no mass, the spring has a rest length x0. Now a mass m is introduced as shown. Which curve in the gray box represents best the variation in total energy of the system? A. Curve number 1, B. Curve number 2, C. Curve number 3 or D. Curve number 4. Now, if we let the extension be x dash, then x dash is equal to x minus x naught. The maximum extension is given by the formula 2mg by k. So, the maximum extension is equal to x dash. So, 2mg by k is equal to x dash. The total energy is given by half kx square. So the energy or the total energy is directly proportional to x dash square. So the graph is not a straight line. According to the given data, curve number 3 represents best the variation in total energy of the system. So the correct answer is option C. A particle of mass m undergoes harmonic oscillations with period t about x is equal to 0. Now, a force F is applied to the particle acting opposite in direction to its instantaneous velocity. F is equal to minus kV. What happens when the particle is released from rest from some x greater than 0? A. It undergoes a steady oscillation with a period larger than t. B. It undergoes decaying oscillation. C. It no longer oscillates, it only moves in one direction with decreasing speed. Or D. It could oscillate or not depending on its parameter values. Now, a particle oscillates when the force or acceleration are always directed towards the mean position. That is, x is equal to 0. So, force is directly proportional to minus x, which is also given as minus kx, where k is the constant, and it is F is equal to minus m omega square. So the particle may or may not oscillate depending upon these parameter values. So option D is correct. Which of the following quantities is invariant under Lorentz transformation? A. Charge density, B. Charge, C. Current, or D. Electric field. In Lorentz transformation, a static charge q at rest becomes a charge moving with velocity v. This is current. The Lorentz force on a moving charge is given by q into E plus v cross b. In this case, the charge does not change with its speed. So the charge is the invariant quantity. So the correct answer is option B. Thank you for watching. Please like, share and subscribe to vEgyan's YouTube channel for more such videos.